Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Farscape Season 2, Episode 10, My Three Crichtons. John has a death match with Caveman John and Superman John. How did you find this episode?
It's pretty good. I liked it.
Okay, that's fair enough. I thought it was decent.
Yeah, it's not great, but I enjoy it for what it is.
It's a bit predictable in certain ways.
In what ways?
Well, they spend a lot of time figuring out that it's a sort of caveman version of John and a sort of super evolved John. They spent a lot of time. They spent a bit of time anyway.
More time than we need them to. The audience figures it out much faster than they give us credit. They could have skipped a lot of that.
They had to make it credible for the characters, but yeah. And the whole moral conundrum, the solution is a little predictable. Well, maybe not the exact solution, but it's pretty obvious that regular Crichton will stay and weird Crichtons will not stay.
Yeah, but I didn't think both of them would go in the Green Dome.
Yeah, certainly it's the kind of episode where even if the solution is fairly obvious, it's the journey getting there that is interesting, which they kind of say in the episode the solution is obvious all the way through. I certainly like the moral dilemma it raises.
That moral dilemma, I think, is why I give this episode a pass in the weaker spots, because it is really interesting. He is faced with versions of himself, and can he really say, oh, this one doesn't deserve to live because I came here first and it's not as sophisticated? And he does make that choice. We don't know if he would have followed through, but he was on his way to get Caveman John to sacrifice him.
He let him go later on. I think there's points in the episode where he was prepared to do it, but I don't think he was ever sold on the idea. It's a fantastic moral problem though, and it's just very simply put: hey, kill one or you all die. Also, they're very unequal. So, a lot of sci-fi is about reframing modern moral questions in an abstract context, or coming up with brand new moral questions that we haven't even considered yet. So the fact that it's just laid bare and played out is sort of a strong plus in my book. And like you said, I think it makes up for some of the weaknesses.
It's a good sci-fi plot because they are not replicas, but they are versions of him. And that's different than just a clone. They have his memories, and that makes it weirder to make a choice.
If it was a clone with no real memories and stuff, then well,
that's still messy. But
yeah,
it's easier to dismiss as I'm not getting rid of a life. I mean, you are still. It's different though. It's a different flavor of moral dilemma.
In a physical sense, you'd be getting rid of a living being, but if it only has 2 hours worth of memories, then the thing that makes it uniquely alive has barely time to grow. It's I think the difference between, I don't know, cutting down a sapling and cutting down a old oak tree. Well, again, though, now I say that, that's a different moral problem anyway. It's good because Super John, as I dubbed him, has quite disgusting outlook on the situation, but at the same time, it's probably correct. Or you could argue it was correct.
That's a big part of why I like this. How what he said made so much sense, but I hate that I was agreeing with him. If you strip away sympathy and it's what he's saying, but then that's not how we're wired.
But yeah, if you take all human life, or non-human, I guess, as a simple value sum, then yeah, the answer is clear. Get rid of the guy that's worth the least, where value is value is what they can provide for the group in the future. But this is like the trolley problem.
Yeah.
Plus, it's easy for very intelligent people to convince others that intelligence is what is most valuable.
I did like the reveal when he said he would never volunteer himself. He would take the chance, as in his life is more important than everyone else on the crew. His life being Super John.
It would take major guts to volunteer for that, though.
But if you're
treating it as a value statement, then yeah, obviously your own life would be of a higher value than everyone else's. Like, if you're that cold and calculating about it, obviously that equation will never balance. There's no way you would kill yourself.
But then that's not for the greater good of the crew. Not the most lives are saved.
But that's not what he's calculating.
Yeah.
He's calculating the most benefit for the group because the group benefits him. It's completely selfish. But the frustrating thing is that doesn't necessarily make it wrong. Although I'm not saying it's right.
If the only factor is intelligence, then yes, and that's how he's thinking about it.
The reason I bring that up is because that happens a lot. For example, in the Dream a Little Dream, they're all hating on the utilities, but that's like the entire infrastructure of society. And people look down on like cleaners as really lowly workers when they probably do more for society than some really intellectual type jobs.
Well, the reason they can specialize in those intellectual like jobs is that there's a division of labor. Otherwise, everyone would have to be mediocre at everything and they couldn't rely on others.
True. I guess what I was thinking is, what would damage society more, getting rid of all the cleaners or getting rid of all the lawyers, say?
This sounds like the start of a bad joke.
Well, maybe it is. Let's find out. I just think if you got rid of all the cleaners, lots of people would die because hygiene is really important.
Yes.
But if you got rid of all the lawyers, things would probably be okay. Things might be worse, but I don't think you'd have plagues kicking about. So when I say intelligence is often seen as the highest value, Caveman John probably could add a lot of value to the crew. He looked hella strong. Well, how many situations have they been in where a dude that was taking them captive would be absolutely wrecked by Caveman John? Guy's biceps were as wide as his head.
I don't think I would have realized that was the guy who plays John if we didn't have Super John as well.
Ben Browder is remarkably adaptable.
It's a combination of the fake teeth and the makeup. I could hear hints of his vocal patterns or tone, but the caveman's really different.
It's he's got a full bodysuit on and facial prosthetics.
Yeah.
It's the first episode of the series to not have any guest stars.
I trust that's true, but that sounds not true. That's kind of crazy. We've gone this long and
I think
haven't.
there was one in season 1 that didn't have any guest stars.
Oh, okay.
I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
The episode Through the Looking Glass in Season 1 had no additional cast, but Chiana was a guest character in Season 1.
Ben Browder sort of plays an action man kind of science bro, and it seems like that's how he is in real life, almost. He seems very natural when he's playing John. So I always think he wouldn't be good at doing any other characters. But then he is. He seems really good at impressions and kind of acting, I
Yeah.
guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, when someone fully inhabits a character, if you don't see any other work from that actor, you think that's just how they are. Or even if that is how they are, it can mask acting abilities.
Yeah. He's maybe not acting hard when he's Crichton, because Ben Browder and Crichton have a lot in common. But that doesn't mean he can't act. What did you think of Super John's accent? Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that, and his big fake teeth that reminded me of the mask.
Yes. He said, Ben Browder said, whenever characters get more intelligent, the more likely it is they'll have an English accent. So he pushed it the other way and copied Bill Clinton.
Okay, I didn't place that.
No, he said no one got it, but he was trying to do kind of. Where's Bill Clinton from? Arkansas or somewhere?
Somewhere in the South.
Yeah. It's really not fitting because that accent is rarely used as a sign of intellectualism.
No, in fiction, it's often used unfairly as shorthand for a slower character.
Yeah, country bumpkin kind of thing.
Crichton said something that didn't make any sense to me, so I need to bring it up, and maybe you can clear things up for me.
Okay.
Half of this galaxy has my memories. What does that mean?
Because Scorpius ripped his memories out with the Aurora chair.
Well, what does that have to do with half the galaxy?
They've got a command carrier, like a giant floating city, tracking them down.
Why didn't he just say Scorpius? I don't know. It's still strange to me.
I think it's called exaggeration. It came off as weird to me as well. Has anyone else taken his memories? Oh yeah, the ancients mocked about with his memories as well.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Probably other people we've forgotten.
That's fair then. More than one person has probed into his memories, and that probably feels a little invasive.
That's a lot for a human. I mean, the average is pretty much 0. So 2+ is a lot. I can understand why you might say half the galaxy.
I get it now. Thank you. It's less weird.
It's still a bit weird. There were some weird special effects in this episode.
I like the green dome.
That was cool. It was a sphere. It was not a dome.
I like the green sphere.
There you go. There was one particularly weird and random scene that had not very good special effects, and I don't know what it was doing there.
Oh, the floor cracking?
Yeah, the floor kind of got all sort of cracked, or it looked like nerves or veins or something.
And then John
sort of starts jumping over it.
in slow-mo.
It looked like someone in a VR game, how awkward and out of place it looked. And there was a scene just before that with Chiana, John, and Dargo in the corridor that looked green screened.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Why was that green screened?
I don't know. It was really strange. And it didn't seem vital to the story, so I don't know why they didn't just cut that. It looked bad, and I didn't understand why it was there.
Yeah, I thought, oh, there's going to be a crazy special effect in the shot. But no, they just walk away. So it's so strange. I don't know what that corridor thing was about. There was also a almost handheld camera style shot of Pilot.
Oh, I love that shot.
It was really weird.
It was an extreme close-up angle.
It didn't look quite like Pilot because the aperture, the lensing was different. His face seemed all thin.
We always get the same shot of Pilot, so I appreciate trying something new.
Yeah, that's always the problem with fixed stuff. I mean, they get this in sci-fi all the time because the ship's just hanging in space. Or if it's a space station, it's even worse. It's literally just always in the same place in an empty, black area. And with Pilot, yeah, he's always in his den, so it's difficult to mix up the shots, make it interesting.
It's really smart that Pilot has all these moving parts. It makes any scene with him seem more dynamic, even though he's simply sitting there.
They do a lot with Pilot. It's the kind of thing that could have been a massive waste of time.
Yeah.
But he's dynamic and expressive and an actual character, so it works. It also helps that a lot of the time in this show they're talking over comms, so Pilot just takes the place of the ship, which is a kind of optimization in a way. They don't need a captain or a helmsman there to be like, oh, the ship is damaged. This Pilot just takes all of that.
Now that I think about it, that should be a dedicated role, and it's weird that more sci-fi doesn't do that.
What, have someone speaking on behalf of the ship itself?
No, not that.
Is it?
Wait, maybe that is what I was thinking. Never mind. I guess
Well,
not.
Usually someone says, oh, shield's down, and they say that to the captain, and the captain's going to say to someone else, yeah, shield's down. This episode touched on evolution.
It did?
Well, you got a unevolved or a previous version of John and a future version of John, more evolved. I don't think they explicitly said that, but that's the impression I got. They managed to not mess it up, though.
What do you mean?
Because Dargo says it's only one possible genetic path.
Ah, yeah.
A lot of shows would have been like, yep, that's how we're going to evolve.
That's the only way.
The amount of evolution that the future one had is more than the amount of evolution that you have. The evolution quotient is significantly increased.
Kind of weird that comes out of Dargo's mouth.
Why? Because he's strong, so he's got to be stupid.
No.
Okay. I'm just glad it was stated. I hate it when they say, oh yeah, evolution is a straight line, it's a goal-oriented process, when no, it's completely not. In fact, the way I interpreted it is that the Neanderthal John and the regular John, it's like it took that same jump again and applied it to John. You know, like the same difference.
That's how I took it.
So almost like John seems like the Super John to the Cave John.
Oh, I really like when Super John said, hey, you know the way you look at Caveman John? That's how I look at you.
Yeah. So I guess they did address that, yeah. Well, that guy was a jerk.
Yeah, and that's in John's DNA, so that stinks.
I don't think that's DNA related. Though that's all that changed, so I guess it is. I'm surprised they didn't I'm surprised they didn't suggest drawing lots or something, but I'm surprised they didn't just get sick of future John and say, no, we're getting rid of you. You might be very smart, but you're so damn annoying.
He helped them. I think that was a big part. He proved his worth already. If he had just said, hey, I can help you out, I'm really smart, and then never did anything, I think they would have turned on him a lot sooner.
Oh, sure. He has value and he proved it. That doesn't mean he's not worth just doing him in because he's terrible. I mean, people deliberately crash their cars sometimes. You ever heard of cutting off your nose to spite your face? The only reason I bring that up is because the crew on Farscape are they're written in a very sort of realistic way. So when John says, take me to maintenance bay, wherever, at gunpoint if you have to, And then it opens up, and then she's like, "No, yeah, at gunpoint." That's good. That's the right thing.
Of course.
On other shows, they'd be like, "Well, if you're willing to go at gunpoint, I guess you're trustworthy, so I'll just trust you."
And then things go bad from there.
Yeah. But no, yeah, she says, "Yeah, gunpoint." Fine, gunpoint it is then.
I love how practical they are like that over and over through the series. Another example is when Rigel is prepared to knock out the first Crichton he sees, whoever it is, because otherwise they'll all die. And that's very practical.
I don't think that was a knockout shot.
Well, either it kills them or it knocks them out, but the result is that that person will go into the sphere.
I think Rigel was planning on killing one of them.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think once they're dead, then the question is solved. Just chuck the dead one in.
Yeah.
And the moral fallout will happen as it will.
Secret hero.
Secret Hitler. Do you have a quote from this episode which you would like to share?
I always thought I was the good guy, Chiana, but it was the least developed one of me, the one I thought least likely, who did the right thing.
Logic bad, feelings good.
He can take comfort in that was a version of himself.
He did the right thing as well. He was willing to jump in.
I do like he reached that point that he was willing to do that.
He was unprepared to kill Super John, no matter how much of a jerk he was. And he couldn't convince him to jump in, so he got there. But yeah, Cave John just solved the whole problem. Like, outright solved it in about 2 minutes, or 20 seconds rather. He brutally killed that guy.
Yeah, it was good.
But that's what I mean. For all that guy was a super ninja and a fist-fighting genius or whatever, Cave John snuck up on him with his nature abilities to blend in and traverse silently and hit things with pipes. So he would be a valuable crew member. Just because he's probably quite stupid doesn't mean he's not incredibly capable in other ways.
He didn't come off as stupid, though.
It came off as a bit stupid. Well, stupid is the wrong word, because I think stupid implies that you're failing to achieve, whereas he was just...
He was limited in his
yeah.
communication, but he didn't seem stupid.
No, yeah.
He wasn't walking into walls or anything.
Okay. At the same time, I don't think he'll be figuring out wormholes.
Oh, that would have been good if Super John dangled that in front of regular John. Hey, I got this whole wormhole thing figured out. Don't get rid of me. He did mention that he figured out a bunch of stuff John had been thinking about for months and years.
Yeah, they never went as far as wormholes. They probably didn't need to.
No, it didn't need it, but that just occurred to me now. They planted that seed. Hey, I'm really good at figuring stuff out that puzzles John.
I think Chiana was the hero of the episode.
Well, I won't disagree there.
Yeah, she's the only one that stood up for a person who's at a disadvantage.
Because she is disadvantaged.
Is she?
She is the most vulnerable of the crew. So I think she was able to relate to Caveman John.
That's not necessarily a disadvantage. But yeah, fair enough. She still stood up for him when no one else did.
Even when John shares his DNA.
DNA is just DNA.
Shares his good looks.
What's all that stuff about Super John having a small winky? It's so funny, but so random.
Yeah.
The way he took that comment on the chin when he was in the jail cell. It's like, yep, great. Let's watch the next episode.
I like that idea, so I'm going to do it.
If the episodes are out of order, So if my three Crichtons came, if my three Crichtons was not after Out of Their Minds. Wait, I'm really confused. So if my three Crichtons was misplaced in your DVDs or whatever however you're watching Farscape, the next one is Look at the Princess. Excuse me while I mumble that. The next one is Look at the Princess.
Got it.
They filmed this after and then swapped it earlier.
Why do they shuffle around the episodes?
Just due to like pacing of the series, character development stuff.
Oh, okay.
So the broadcast order has this one after Out of Their Minds, but the filming order has Look at the Princess earlier, and some of the DVDs don't respect that change. So that's a thing. I don't know why, but there you go.
Thank you.
Let's go.